In the world of licensing properties, many giants of the industry have come and gone throughout time, but one specific company holds a very special place in the hearts of many. I'm talking about 4Kids Entertainment, the source of countless questionable anime dubs and an early pioneer in the Saturday morning cartoon wars of the early 2000s, as well as being an industry powerhouse for over 50 years. Today, we will take a full dive into the company's humble beginnings and rise to power, its, shall we say, unique dubbing choices, and its eventual fall from grace. I'm Summers from Baka to Basics, and this is the somewhat controversial and winding tale of 4Kids Entertainment. Class is officially in session. The beginning. 4Kids Entertainment was an American-based licensing company started on April 28, 1970, under the name Leisure Concepts, or LCI, co-founded by Mike Germakian, who would later go on to be known as one of the creators behind Thundercats, and Stan Weston, the creator of G.I. Joe and Captain Action. The company originally started by pitching numerous toys and cartoons to various companies, but would first make a major splash by licensing actual people, a multitude of different products, and even the concepts of ideas. During the mid-1980s, industry visionary Ted Wolfe came up with the idea of a race of cat-like humanoid superheroes, when he then shared with his friend Stan Weston, who in turn, through LCI, pitched it to Rankin Bass Animated Entertainment. Both Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass were impressed with the idea and the potential that it had of becoming an instant success. They approved of the idea, and Thundercats went into production. During the early development stage, Mike Germakian designed much of the Thundercats' characters, vehicles, and locations. However, most importantly was that he also was responsible for creating the now iconic Thundercats logo, featuring a stylized Black Panther head on a red circle. Germakian's designs were then sent to Pacific Animation Corporation in Japan to be adapted into cartoon format. Following the success of Thundercats, LCI struck a licensing deal at some point in 1986 to market Star Wars, and would then go on to make a deal on December 17, 1987 with Nintendo of America. This was to market the software products that went along with its increasingly popular gaming systems. The company was now starting to become a force to be reckoned with, but few could have imagined what the 1990s would have in store right around the corner. A change in direction, 4Kids Entertainment is born. Whilst the company had seen success in the 70s and 80s, it was in the early 1990s that the 4Kids we know today would begin to take place. LCI made a huge gamble and decided it was time to expand into new and exciting ventures. The steady rising popularity of Japanese animation in the West meant that there would be a greater need for companies that would willingly dub shows coming over from the East. And given its past positive relations with Japanese production companies in the past, via the wildly popular Thundercats series, LCI made the seemingly risky choice at the time to expand these operations to full-time television production in 1992, which, of course, would include English dubbing Japanese anime through its subsidiary, 4Kids Productions, which the company would mostly be known for. In addition, they would create the subsidiary, the Summit Media Group, which would go on to produce and distribute the first seasons of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Cubix, as well as the short-lived but very fun Darkstalkers television show. During 1995, the company decided to change its name from Leisure Concepts Inc. to 4Kids Entertainment Inc. Although the company changed its name, Leisure Concepts still operated as another separate subsidiary of the company. The company likely decided to still use the Leisure Concepts name for branding purposes, due to its prior success with people in the past. A quick side note as a fun little bit of trivia: in 1987, Bobby Kotick, the acting president and CEO of Activision Blizzard, tried to acquire Commodore International. When Kotick was unsuccessful, though, he instead purchased a controlling stake in LCI, thus also becoming LCI's CEO and chairman in June of 1990. Kodak, though, quickly traded out of a stake in LCI and bought a 25% stake in Activision in December of 1990. Then, in March of 1991, Kodak became CEO at Activision, and the rest is history. The birth of 4Kids TV. As the new millennium began, the now named 4Kids Entertainment Inc. found itself at an all-time high. The company switched over from the NASDAQ market and joined the New York Stock Exchange, with the firm's new ticker symbol being KDE, and earning a top slot in Fortune's 100 fastest growing companies for the year 2000. Chief among the reasons for this was 4Kids' new partnership with Mattel, in which the two signed a licensing agreement to create Hot Wheels die-cast cars and racing sets featuring the PACW Motorsports line of monster trucks. This gave them licensing rights to the extremely popular monster truck Gravedigger, and a brand new line of World Championship Wrestling inspired vehicles designed after superstars such as Goldberg, Sting, and Bret Hart. Perhaps the biggest thing, though, going for the company was the continuing success of Pokemon, which the company had secured the production rights to the English language dub of, and in 2001 would secure a 3% stock share in the franchise as a whole. 2001 also saw the company obtain the merchandising and television rights to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monster series, producing the English dub, which would air on Kids WB. In January 2002, after engaging in a bidding war with DIC Entertainment, or DIC, 4Kids Entertainment signed a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Fox Broadcasting Company to become its Saturday morning lineup. 4Kids Entertainment was wholly responsible for the content of the block and collected all advertising revenues from it. In May 2002, 4Kids Entertainment launched a home video division called 4Kids Entertainment Home Video, and appointed Funimation Productions as the executive distributor for their Yu-Gi-Oh!, Cubix, Cabbage Patch Kids, and Tanma and Friends properties. At the end of 2002, 4Kids had gotten $140 million in Pokemon revenue, and 4Kids' new Saturday morning cartoon block on Fox premiered on September 14, 2002 as Foxbox, which later rebranded to 4Kids TV in January of 2005. Everything seemed to be going nearly perfect for the company, but things were about to quickly take a turn for the worse. Stretching thin and financial strife. In October of 2005, 4Kids Entertainment would begrudgingly sell its 3% stake in Pokemon for $960,000 to the three parties owning majority rights to Pokemon: Nintendo, Creatures, and Game Freak. And in December, the company announced that they would not renew the Pokemon representation agreement set to end later that month, thus stating that starting in 2006, Pokemon USA Inc.'s in-house licensing group would handle all Pokemon licensing outside of Asia. As part of this, the company would still receive commissions for a few years on payments made under existing Pokemon licensing agreements. Now, looking to recoup from this financial loss, 4Kids signed a deal with Microsoft to license children's video games exclusively for the Xbox 360. This was so they could put more child-oriented games in the console's gaming library. This, though, would lead to 4Kids Entertainment forming two new subsidiaries in TC Digital Games LLC, a trading card company, and TC Websites LLC, an online multi-platform game company. This was intended to be a significant enhancement in the company's business strategy, but both would be shut down in 2010 due to a long-continued lack of profitability. Going back to 2007, though, we have more bad news, as Warner Brothers and CBS stated that the Kids WB programming block on their co-owned CW would be ending in 2008. Rights to the 5-hour morning block were then purchased by 4Kids, and they began to program the time with their own programming, mixed in with 3 former Kids WB originals. However, just a year later, 4Kids Entertainment announced that it would exit its contract with Fox and terminate its Fox programming block by the end of 2008, with the final 4Kids TV broadcast coming on December 27th, 2008. 10 days prior to this, the company announced it would be laying off about 155 of its workforce due to worsening economic environment and the iffy financial situation the company was facing. It really just continues to all go downhill from here, with issues in the stock market, needing to sell off its own assets as to pay off debts, and eventually filing for bankruptcy. So before we get to the eventual closure of 4Kids, it's about time we talk about the big fat elephant in the room, the infamous 4Kids dubs. First off, credit where credit is due. 4Kids helped a whole new generation of kids get into anime. If not for these easy to access shows such as Pokemon, One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Mega Man, and Shaman King, along with a host of other amazing Saturday morning staples, I think many of us would have not gotten into anime as much as we did, but oh boy, we do need to take a look at some of the changes the 4Kids dub made to some of these shows. Pokemon. Not everything 4Kids did to these shows was bad, and Pokemon may be the best example of such, with being the Poke Rap and the original English theme song, though not the intro's animations. And Childhood Summer's much beloved To Be a Master, an album that I literally played till the disc stopped working. The issues do arise though when it comes to the actual dubbing of the show's dialogue. Move errors, calling type matchups wrong, poor quality in trainer's choice segments, and the infamous jelly donut scene are among the many issues that fans have with the series. The banned episodes, though, are less of a 4Kids issue, because every episode has a solid enough reason for why it was banned. The Tentacruel episode was too close to the attack on 9/11, the swimsuit episode showed James wearing giant inflatable breasts, the Porygon episode literally caused some viewers in Japan to have epileptic seizures, the Jinx episode was accused of inappropriate blackface, and the Safari Zone episode, in which Ash hilariously caught his 30 Tauros, showed the man running the zone pointing a loaded gun at a 10-year-old Ash's head. The other issue was when 4Kids took over sole dubbing rights in 2003, and the show experienced an obvious decline in quality, mainly stemming from its TV special, The Mastermind of Mirage Pokemon, which, the less said about, definitely the better. Yu-Gi-Oh! This show was a big part of my childhood, if not bigger than Pokemon in some aspects, so it really hurts to admit the original English dub had issues with it, but oh boy, it had issues. First, we have the Americanization of certain character names, Looking at You, My Valentine. Then the changing of characters' entire personalities, such as Mokuba, who was originally a character with a darker side to him, but it's just a shell of this former character's personal self. The cards weren't safe either, as Dark Magician Girl was changed after the company saw a need to change the size of her bust, which is odd when a character such as Mai exists, or objectively cool Barrel Dragon being changed to something out of a rave, shooting out rainbow lasers instead of bullets as originally intended. The censorship of guns is understandable to a degree though, but the way the show handled it is what makes me ugly laugh. Multiple times, characters such as the Goons chasing Kaiba and Bandit Keith towards Maximilian Pegasus pull out guns to make a threat. But seeing as how 4Kids wanted nothing to do with any of that, they simply erased the guns and made finger guns in their stead. Only made funnier by the fact that they are seriously using these finger guns in threatening manners, as if they could still shoot bullets out of them. The last point I want to touch on is of the censorship of death. In one case, quite literally, as the duel between Bakura and Yugi features a card called Death, but the dub changed it to say Final instead, and the entire creation of the Shadow Realm. So, in case you didn't know, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series was crazy dark in its material. Before Duel Monsters, Yugi was playing games of Russian roulette with his opponents and summoning giant lizard monsters to eat them. In one particular duel with a Dark Magician, the original concept was for a buzzsaw to cut through the legs of whichever duelist lost, But with the invention of the Shadow Realm, the show was able to play it off that whoever would lose the duel would have these Shadow Realm infused blades, simply take them to said realm. One Piece. Oh, the 4Kids dub of One Piece. What an absolute travesty of a good time sailing on the high seas this was. Let's start with an odd but forgivable change in making Roronoa Zoro's name Zolo. The reasoning for this was, at face value, taken that the Japanese language doesn't really have an R sound in their language, but the speculation for the 4Kids dub was that they changed it so it wouldn't become an issue with the fictional masked sword fighter who went by the same moniker. Equally understandable as it was in Yu-Gi-Oh!, we had multiple changes that dealt with dangerous weapons, such as changing a gun to be this weird hammer-like thing, or turning arrows into poisonous suction cups. Or the fact that Luffy, who is constantly bloodied up from battle, was made to never spew any blood at all. Next, the dub also decided to cut out entire arcs of the original show, like Little Garden and Reverse Mountain, two pivotal character plot points way down the line in the story. And then lastly, you just add in changing Sanji's smoking habit into one for lollipops, and you kind of just have a show that is obviously, as the brand implies, for kids. The end. In what can only be seen as a last-ditch effort to stay afloat, the company officially rebranded as 4 Licensing Corporation in December of 2012. But less than 4 years later, they would file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and on February 7th, 2017, the company immediately ceased all operations, thus ending one of the most influential yet controversial companies the animated world had ever seen. 4Kids will forever have my gratitude, seeing, as stated before, it's part of the reason that I feel I was able to get to see these shows and become the anime fan that I am today. And I truly have to say thank you, 4Kids. Even with all your censorship, it really was one hell of a ride. This is the biggest video we have done on our channel today, and something we want to do more of in the future. Comment down below what other topics you'd like to see us do a deeper dive of. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more Baka to Basics content. I've been Summers with Baka to Basics, and I'll see you the next time class is in session.